What was it about this story that spoke to you when you read the script? Not just the miracle on the Hudson, but also kind of the aftermath as well.
Well, they had an investigation to see if the pilots were at fault for this forced water landing. You know, you have a $60 million apparatus in the drink, and potentially loss of life and injury to the passengers. So there had to be the mandatory investigation, and I think that the audiences they're aware of the iconic image of the people on the wings, but they don't know what happens afterwards. And that's what's so thrilling about this movie, because how could you question such a heroic act and find fault with that hero to zero thing, and the trauma that it caused Captain Sullenberger and Jeff Skiles. So that's fascinating to people. It really kind of upsets them.
How was it doing the kind of technical side, getting into the pilots and doing the simulations and all that kind of stuff? It must have been thrilling, but also quite a challenge.
Yeah, it's always a challenge to make the audience believe that you know what every button does, and that you have a second nature with it, you know, that you can talk and, you know, chew bubblegum and walk at the same time and press that button and have another thought going this way. That shows that you really, I mean, this guy's got 20,000 hours in the seat. He doesn't have to, you know, his hand goes right to the button that he wants it to go to. So that was sort of our job, and then to get the lingo right. I love that kind of stuff. I'm getting my professional or my private pilot's license myself, so I love, you know, talking to the tower and, you know, doing the takeoff and landings and all that. So I had a great time on the set.
Sharing time with Tom Hanks must have been fun, and you guys were obviously in very close quarters in terms of the cockpit and everything else. What was it? What was that experience like for you?
It was enjoyable for me. I'm a huge fan of Tom's. He's an icon on our business, very influential as an actor, writer, director, producer. And so I took the opportunity, like everybody out there, and I asked him some questions and asked his advice and listened to some stories. I always go up to Clint or Tom or whoever it is I'm working with, and I say, you know, tell me a story. And you know, they choose the story, and that is telling in itself. And I listen to the stories and learn, you know. And someday I'll do that to young actors.
I can imagine it's a big draw for Clint Eastwood anyway, but to be on a story like this with him, it's a very American story and stuff like that.
Yeah, I didn't need to read the script. You know, it was, you know, yeah, I mean, Clint called. You know, the boss called, and then Tom's in it, and they want me to be in it. Okay, I'll do that. What's it about? Miracle on the Hudson. Wow, okay, I'm in. Do I have a good part? Yeah, you're playing the co-pilot. I mean, it just doesn't get better than that. And it's a great movie and very successful, and that's a good thing. I'm very happy. It's hard to believe the story. I mean, especially as you dig into it, you know, and learn the nuts and the bolts of what actually had to happen perfectly in order to get that thing down safely. There's only been, if ever, this is the only successful water landing in the history of aviation. I mean, if you're 1 inch or 2 off on either side, that engine acts as a bucket and a shovel, and the plane flips and you have loss of life. It was so deftly done, so professional, that it's like you said, it's unimaginable. And then to have Sully, you know, talk us through it, and Skiles. And then to work with Clint, you know, to work with Clint and Tom, that was obviously a huge factor for me. It was a highlight. I wouldn't pass that up. It's hard for me to believe, you know, that I'm in the movie and that the movie's good. So it was all you know, chocolates and nuts for me.
I guess just to return to what you're saying about all the technical details, because it is such an almost unbelievable story, it must have been, I imagine, really important to make sure you got all those basic things right.
Yeah, I mean, you're playing real people. A, they're going to be judged off your performances. And number 2 is you have to get it right. That's your responsibility as an actor and a director and a writer. And Sully was with us, you know. Tom had extensive talks with Sully. Sully had participation in the writing of the script, what was accurate, what was not, what we had to kind of fudge in order to fit it into the movie. But I would say for the most part, this is how it went down. In fact, we had the transcripts, you know, and we were listening to the transcripts. So what Tom and I say, Sully and Skiles say in the film is exactly word for word what happened on the day. So we had all the expertise there. We had everything. It was just, you know, an awesome movie to make.
It's a side of a story that you don't really see on the news, so I imagine that must have been quite rewarding for you to bring that to the bigger audience.
Oh yeah, especially, you know, I think it's an American story, but it's bigger than that. It's you know, New York centric in the fact that all the first responders and you know, after 9/11, having a plane fly low over New York is troubling, and to see that this was a successful and heroic act was great. But I think everybody around the world this resonates with everybody around the world, because everybody gets in a plane. There are thousands of planes in the air right now. So it gave me personally more confidence in air travel.
And this is a very beautiful movie, actually.
Oh, good. I'm glad you liked it.
You and Tom must have a profound respect for Sully.
Oh my goodness! I mean, I'm still in awe of him. I can't get over it. Every time I think about it, or actually, we came over here to London together and to listen to his stories and his command of the aircraft and of his skills. It's incredible. I mean, you're at 3,000 feet, you have dual engine failure, and now you're in the middle of New York City. Where are you going to land? His heart rate spiked. You know, he said he couldn't even do simple equations, 2 + 2. You know, he had to get control of his body and then figure out what was going on, where he was going to land, figure out glide speeds, you know, take in the weight of the airplane, all these equations in his head, and then listen to Jeff, listen to the tower, and all the pressure of 150 people, 55 people behind him. It's staggering. When you lay it out like that, it's just staggering. And so I think we just touched the tip of the iceberg, you know, even making the movie. It's just there's not enough time.
You were just saying there to my colleague how calm everybody was on set, but really you need a super calm for that kind of thing. Could you do it? Could you think like that?
Well, that's the moral of the story. You hope that, you know, these guys are passionate about their jobs. Sully's putting 20,000 hours into that seat. Jeff Skiles, whom I play, has got the same amount of hours in the cockpit. You hope that we have enough respect for what we do and enough humanity and to get out there and do the right thing. And I think everybody has that chance to step up when other lives are at stake, you know, and help others. And I think we've seen that, you know, whether it's here in London when something happens, you know, or 9/11, or if there's an earthquake in Italy or New Zealand that just happened, we all help each other because we're all part of the same fabric. So we all have the chance. Sully doesn't even consider himself a hero. He's just a guy that was doing his job.
Yeah. Do you think the film is the right blend between that heroism but also the bureaucracy that investigates heroism as well? Do you feel a bit upset that his heroism wasn't taken at face value?
And I don't think he does either. He understands the process. I mean, you have a $60 million plane, you have 155 people's lives at stake, and you have to make sure that these guys were in the right frame of mind to fly. You know, questions like, did you drink last night? Have you fought with your wife? Did you get enough sleep? How was your blood sugar level? I mean, seemingly antagonistic questions, but they all are leading to, were you worthy to fly that plane? Because we have 155 people's lives back there that they're saying there's a social contract that says, I'm going to pay my money and get on this plane. I trust that you're worthy to fly this plane. And this plane is airworthy. And they said, okay, we'll take your money. You get on the plane and you have expectations. So I think the inquiry was necessary, but it was very traumatic for them. It lasted 18 months, a little longer than it happens in the movie. They could have lost their license, their flying licenses, their pensions, and most importantly, if you talk to Sully about this, is their reputations as pilots. That's what meant the most to them, and that's how much he loves to fly.
Thank you very much.
Ladies and gentlemen, you're watching Hey You Guys!
Hey You Guys, huh?
Hey, you guys.
Is that from the Goonies?
It is indeed, yeah.
Nice.
Hey!